Uh, duh.
Duh. You are watching the number one podcast in the whole entire youth wrestling community, and I'm one of your hosts, Wanzo.
And I'm your other host, Jean-Paul Leek.
Together we are
THROWBACK.
How's every single one of you on Facebook? Every single one of you on YouTube? Welcome to Throwback Smackdown, review. We're going to be talking about every single thing that happened on this show. And actually, you see smiles here, Jean-Paul and me. Yeah, you will get to see the Colgate right there because it was a fantastic episode. I haven't enjoyed SmackDown in such a long time. And this, gave me a little bit of everything. Old school vibes. Well, the moment's a little crappy, but at least the continuation of the storylines and everything, pretty solid episode of SmackDown, Paul.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't go so far to say this was a fantastic episode. There still was, I would say it was 50-50 for me, but at least the stuff that was good. Pretty much the main event, the main story of this episode was a home run. Everything else kind of in between was we saw a 10-man tag match, which to me I thought was awful. And, we just saw some stuff with that, like with Bayley and Bianca, that was But then everything, with Roman Reigns, Cesaro, the main event scene, that was really good. So I did enjoy that.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Like for me, it was more like a thing that like, hey, it's like the 10-man tag is like, hey, old school SmackDown. It does feel like those awful days. It does feel like, when I used to watch and I will feel crappy.
And also just because we'll get into it, but just because of the guy who got pinned in that match was just
but at least you enjoy how like they have all the guys like lined up like old school, like just like it's gonna be great. So thank you so much, family, for being with us. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for the comments that you give us. Also here, let us know in the comments. Did you like the episode? You didn't like the episode? Let us know about everything about this episode of like Throwback Smackdown. Also, Paul, tell me a little bit about NXT UK. A great show that we do, a pretty solid episode one more time. And actually somebody left NXT UK.
Yeah, we had the loser leaves town or however you want to call it match. We had Amir Jordan and Kenny Williams. And this was, the story was actually better than the blow-off match, unfortunately. But, now we got to see what happens for Amir Jordan. Not that the match was bad, but just, like we said, we've seen recently, better kind of I Quit matches or not I Quit, just like no disqualification matches, street fight, whatever you want to call it. But, it wasn't bad. And then we also saw, hyped up for the women's gauntlet match next week. So, solid show. And, like we said earlier on, Ilya Dragunov, he's still in the mix. All these guys, Rampage Brown, Joe Coffey, fantastic show.
Exactly. So, be with us for also this episode. It was really good. We didn't hear from Eva Valkyrie, but that's fine. So, Paul, what did you think about all like the old school vibe? It's like all the Throwback Smackdown, going back to like those old days of like the show started out in 1999 where, the main event, The Rock and Triple H, Shawn Michaels, of course, screwing The Rock. Like how did you think about the set? To me, all right. Nothing out of like super legit because everybody wanted the fist. But what we have is like a 3D fist, like just like an analog, right? Or an hologram. There you go.
Yeah, exactly. So to me, I didn't like because I even said to you, I said, watch them. They'll do that shitty 3D, like when the birds fly to Matt Riddle's ass, and it looks like Roman Reigns is screaming, taking the shit when it's his big 3D thing. So I didn't like that. They should have actually built the fist. WWE has all this money; they can at least be legit for us. And the old school vibe. Some things I did enjoy. But a lot of things because, hey, I am how I am. I got the attention to detail. This was old school Raw. This wasn't old school SmackDown with like the old WWF logo and they had the Ico Pro ads. That's not SmackDown. That's Raw. That's old school Raw. So to me, I'm like, that was kind of crappy. So I would have it didn't feel 2000s to me. It didn't feel like that 1999, turn of the millennium. It felt like 1994, 1995, like that kind of old school Raw. So, the vibe wasn't there for me. I would have rather seen like the physical fist, build the set. But, but that's just nitpicking. I mean, still the show, it was good. Like we said, the main event and everything. And I love Pat McAfee. He's making fun of or imitating Vince McMahon here. And then he's like, Michael Cole, you're dressed like young Michael Cole, but you still look like a clown, all this stuff. So McAfee's good.
Yeah, you're still bullshit, but like you gotta like look like when you were like even more like bullshit.
He needs to get the earring back and like the goatee and everything.
Oh yeah, that would be badass. Like the old school Michael Cole. Yeah, like you said, but like the show opened up with like the big dog with Roman Reigns. Of course, like we got to see him. He's gonna address like the WWE universe because the situation with Daniel Bryan. So I want to ask you right here, Paul, like, you know, Daniel Bryan done. Like there's a lot of rumors that like they're trying to for him to like resign, offering a shit ton of money just to make sure he doesn't go to like the most dangerous letters in the professional wrestling world, not RBD, but AEW or AEW. They don't want him to go there. So what do you think? Is he resigning? To me, like he's gonna just wait for like that big paycheck. He's gonna be, no, you're just kidding. I'm with you guys.
Yeah, I mean, he could do kind of like what remember when we said the same thing about Randy Orton when he was like kind of flirting with that idea? If anything, he'll call up Tony Khan, and then this is Daniel Bryan I'm talking about. Call up Tony Khan. Tony Khan will say, hey, this is some of the stuff we do with you. Obviously we sign everybody, so you have a spot here, and this is how much money I'll give you. Oh, okay. Hey, Vince, he's going to give me this much money. Vince goes, well, I'll give you this much money, a bigger amount. Oh, okay.
He's gonna
it's like
hot potato with it.
Oh,
right?
yeah, he's gonna. I mean, if anything, if not, hey, maybe because he is a family man, he expressed how he wants to spend time with his kids, with his wife, all that stuff. Maybe he goes, hey, give me a couple months off. He's given his word as a man. Hey, trust my word. I won't sign with anybody else. Whatever. Put me in the alumni thing for a couple months. Then maybe I'll pop up back on Raw or NXT or whatever. So it's tough to say. Now, in a fantasy world, if these guys could really perform, I'd love to see him, just do, shots around the world, go to a Ring of Honor, go to an MLW, go to Impact if that's where Samoa Joe is. I want to see him versus Samoa Joe. I want to see those kind of matches, but not sign big contracts. Just go there, 2-3 matches, go somewhere else, 2-3 matches. But,
yeah,
who knows what he's going to do, but it is exciting because he's one of those guys who people care what he does in the wrestling world. It's not like, oh yeah, no way Jose got released. Mojo Rawley.
No way. No way. Yes.
Yeah, but when it's Daniel Bryan, everybody's constantly following
I agree with
where
you.
he's
So, like,
going.
Big Dog was right there, or like Tribal Chief, he was addressing. Paul Heyman took the work. He was mostly saying, hey, Daniel Bryan is gone for SmackDown. His career is over. He's a free agent, all of that. So they did the 10-bell salute. So that was cool. I like that, like they did it in his own way also, like kind of like, remember Rocky 3, you want to ring the bell? Ding, ding, like that. So like they did that. But then, we got to see like you got to see it right there, like Roman also addressing, like how he got rid of Daniel Bryan. He's gone. At the end, I'm the big, the Tribal Chief. Nobody can beat me. I'm the leader of SmackDown. I'm the main event and all of that. But we got to see the return of like Jimmy Uso. So that was cool. I like that. Then, nobody ever told like, you didn't see the reports or anything. So like him coming back actually gave more like depth to the storyline. Like you said, this is probably the best storyline that like the WWE has right now going.
Yeah. This was good. He came out and I was saying for like a while ago, I haven't been saying it recently because I didn't know what was going on with Jimmy. And then I said, I would love to see him come back and, challenge Roman and almost be like a baby face to their heel, to be like, Jay, you're being bullshit. Like, I don't get this. Why you Roman's bitch? And that's pretty much what he said. He came out here and, Roman was pissed that he's like, oh, I brought you out here, not to get ahead of himself, but, or ahead of myself in the show here. But this was good because I liked how Jimmy didn't come out and just be like, oh, yes, Roman, and, kiss his ass like Jay does.
Oh, yeah, no, it was good. Like you said, like it was unexpected at the beginning. You see like the Usos and all of that got together. So you were thinking, oh, yeah, they're going to go like he's going to join right away. But no. He actually has his hesitations. You remember, like when Jay like tap out and all of that, like it was actually Jimmy who was like the one that threw the towel and everything. That was a Clash of Champions. So you got to see like the continuation of that, which makes a lot of sense. Thank you WWE for doing that, because normally, you get to see you will think that like they're just gonna like go back to like, oh yeah, we're friends and everything. Nothing happened over there. So we got to see that. But then Cesaro comes out and he says, hey, how can you just discard Daniel Bryan? How can you say that he's gone? How can you, just throw mud into like his memory? So don't worry, like it's fine. I'll be the one avenging my friend Daniel Bryan and all of that. So we got to see Playa. We had to see Teddy Long right there.
Yeah, because Seth Rollins attacked him. And just to quick comment on that, didn't that feel so out of place? Like, it's the reunion. Jimmy Uso came back. Okay, the family, they're all in the ring. Then all of a sudden, Cesaro just comes out and just goes, don't talk bad about Daniel Bryan. And I felt like he just kept going on and on, waiting for Rollins to jump him. It
Well,
was
yeah,
just like
like
it
I
felt
mean, like
so
maybe like the
awkward.
timing of it was like not
Yeah.
too good,
And then
but
as soon
you
as he
know,
jumped him, like you said, then Teddy Long comes out, oh, playa. And this Teddy Long segment was a lot better, I think, than the second one. But I mean, maybe I just didn't find it funny. But, then he comes out and he says, Cesaro, if you beat Rollins, you get the match at Backlash. But
yes,
I didn't like this because what if Rollins won? Rollins wasn't offered the match if he won.
yeah,
So it was like Cesaro gets it if he wins, and Rollins gets a
gets
good,
nothing.
a good job, buddy. Like
And,
he gets a
and
pat
we
on the
knew that,
back.
like, also, like, Cesaro was going to win because there was no way, like, the storyline is right there for them. So, like you
Mhm.
said, like, like, see, it needed to happen like that, but we got to see the match. Like you said, like, I enjoyed the match for what it was. I think, not as good as, like, what was WrestleMania, but I think
Mhm.
that's pretty decent, like a lot of good action and all of that. So, what did you think about it? Like, superplex right there in the picture. I really enjoyed the intensity. We didn't see the UFO, we didn't see almost like the swing and all of that. So, I mean, what did you think of it?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't bad. Like you said, when that match at WrestleMania is still so fresh in our minds, nothing these two like can do in the ring will top that, unfortunately, because they're going to put on their best performance there. And you're not going to have a match better than that on SmackDown, especially with the way like this was, being booked. But this wasn't bad. And then, you saw eventually, Rollins was on the outside, and then you saw Jimmy, boom, he super kicks him, which allows Cesaro to get the advantage and get the win. And then that kind of set up for like, okay, what's going on? At first I thought at the time, I didn't think WWE was going to be smart and make Jimmy be babyface. I thought he was going to be heel and join with them. And I'm like, maybe they're doing this because Roman wants to face Cesaro. He wants to beat Cesaro because, he wants to prove that he's best. Cesaro shouldn't be sticking his nose in his face. He's not main event, all this stuff. But then we come to find out that that wasn't the case, But at the time, this wasn't bad. Again, like you have in the picture here, the superplex, Falcon Arrow. But see, everybody kicks out of that. Rollins don't pin
Yes.
anybody with that. So to
No.
me, he might as well just throw a forearm instead of
It's
doing
like
this.
the code breaker for Jericho now, or like
Yeah.
the Lion Soul, because everybody kicks out of
Yeah,
it.
or like we say for Cody Rhodes, the Crossroads. Pretty
It
much
became
everybody
like
kicks
that,
out
yes.
of it. Yeah.
Yes. So like, at the end, Paul neutralizer 1, 2, 3. Cesaro wins. He becomes the #1 contender for the Universal Championship, and we have our friend Steven Butler's there. Holla holla! Nice to see Teddy return. Good. I enjoy that. But like you said, at least Cesaro wins, and like you said, the only one thing that it will be bad is like you said, Rollins wins. Then what would happen? But I guess they had to plan it that way. Having Teddy for me was okay. He was like the most enjoyable manager or like a GM over like SmackDown history. So I like that. So then we had Seth Rollins, so he's complaining to Roman. What do you think about this mini reunion of the Shield? Right there, it's like, if you don't take care of this, your family and all your crap, I'll take care of myself.
Yeah, maybe this is going to be something where we start to see the cracks because, especially with what we heard with Jimmy saying to Jay later on and, all this stuff, maybe we're eventually going to see the crack, which I think we will, because I think this title, it's days on Roman. There was more behind him than there are ahead of him, so because I really do think they're going to pull the trigger on our boy Cesaro and give him the belt. Maybe not at Backlash, but, you kind of see all this, Roman's empire is starting to crumble. So to say, and maybe Rollins is going to join up with him. Maybe we'll see, like you said, an actual mini Shield reunion. Obviously, no crazy man Dean Ambrose or anything, but I like this interaction, and I like people stepping up to Roman, because before everybody was scared of him. Now a lot of people are getting in his face. So hey, maybe he's not so big and bad anymore.
Exactly, I agree to that. But like I said, family, Universal Championship match is going to happen at WrestleMania Backlash, and like you said, either hopefully they prolong the feud, it cannot end right here. Like you said, maybe it's going to be a 2 or 3 month feuds in between the two of them. So we'll see what happens. But then I think this is the segment I think that you didn't like, and I kind of enjoy a little bit. And this is again Sami Zayn going to Teddy Long. So can I get an icy match? Intercontinental Championship match. I won that title. It was mine. And how about you give me a match with Apollo? And then he goes, "Playa, you go 1-on-1 against the Undertaker." That one didn't make me laugh. Okay, that one was lame. I will tell you that.
That was lame. And then, when he pretty much says, oh, it's going to be, you and who'd he say? Apollo Crews. And then he listed all the baby faces, Kevin Owens, the Street Profits, Nakamura, all this stuff. And he's like, well, who else is on my team? And he's like, and then he didn't know. And he was like, oh, King Booker. And it's like, no, King Corbin. Oh, yeah, that's who I mean. I mean, to me, it's just like, oh, hey, remember the old days when wrestling was good? Let me just say these people's names. It's, to me, it wasn't funny. If he would have actually just said the names, have been like, you're screwed, player. and like, something like that, it would have been okay. But he just seemed like old and senile.
And that's the only thing that probably I didn't appreciate it. But when they were doing the dance, it was great. For me, it was precious.
Oh yeah, that was funny. That's what I mean. And like when he came out,
Sammy was moving the hands, and he's like,
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And when he came out with in the first segment there, I didn't mind it and stuff. But yeah, this I'm just like, you present Teddy like he's old and senile. And I like when they did the court case a while back. Remember when he was the judge or whatever on the court case, whatever with Otis and The Miz? I mean, that was a good use of him there too. But yeah, this was but that was just me. If some people enjoyed it, then good for them.
It's not like, oh my God, there's no reason to debate. What do you think, Steven? Let us know what you guys felt about that also. But this is good though. Roman, it goes to Jimmy. It's like, okay, what's the deal? Broski, what's the deal? Like, it's a goose, like, oh, are you going to join or what's going on? And he says, hey, like, I'm nobody's bitch. And it's like, I ain't like you, like, Jay, like, oh, you always help him out. Like, you, because of you, he's champion. I ain't nobody's bitch. You're not going to treat me like that. So you see one more time. And you said it the best. He needed to come out like this because, hey, there has to be some dissension. Something needs to happen. And I like that. And I know you were loving this part because at least WWE is making sense in this kind of storytelling.
Yeah, this was great because what's the one thing we always say? Roman, he can win a match on his own. But a lot of times when he's in a match, Kevin Owens, Daniel Bryan, Edge, whoever, he's going to lose. Who makes the save? Jay. It's not Roman just winning on his own a lot of the times. And, like Jimmy says, like, I ain't going to be your bitch. I'm not going to be one to help you win all the time. Like, what do we get out of it? And then, like he said to Jay later on, it's like, you don't have nothing from this. Like, you're pretty much just his bitch. You kiss his ass. He says, oh, he helps you. Like, what have you really done? Like, he helps our family. No, he doesn't. He only helps himself. So, I love this. And like I said, this is going to be the big piece that eventually tears down this Roman Empire, I think.
No, exactly. I really feel that, like, this is going to be, like, how are they going to, like, at least finish this? So I'm happy to see that. And that's what we got. And then let's tell me, like, you said, every single show has the cracks, has the bad spots. And I think this was the worst because, again, no reason for to have this match. It was just they always need women's matches. But like this doesn't further any storylines, doesn't give you anything of continuation or at least like a mini feud or anything. And there was Carmella against Ruby Riott. I mean, match quality, a 3 out of 10. Like for me, because Ruby Riott, one more time, she loses. They don't cash in on her. They don't cash in on her ability. Like she had a good character. And, Carmella needs it too because she has a new identity not too long ago. So, from the two, I guess Carmella gets the win. And I don't know, is there a lot to say about this?
No, I mean, there's no reason Ruby Riott should be in this match. It should be her and Liv in tag matches to build them up to maybe eventually challenge whoever is going to win the match, the SmackDown or the women's tag team championship match, which is going to be on SmackDown instead of on Backlash. So it shows you how much they care about those titles. But instead, she's in a singles match. She loses to Carmella, which is probably going to be, hey, we don't really, we have nobody on our women's roster on SmackDown. So let's start building up Carmella again for eventually when Bianca beats Bayley, then she has another heel to challenge her in Carmella. That's the only thing I can think. But yeah, I could care less about
this. Yeah, like this was not good. There was no reason for
code of silence and done. It's just okay.
Yeah, pretty much. And the one thing, like remember, Liv is the one that like stops it because she was gonna get a cheat win. Like she was like already pinning her and all of that. Then she took care of like Liv Morgan and then does the code of silence like you said. So I'm like, so then why is Liv helping out? It was a bit lame, like you said. It's fine. But like, yeah, that's what happens. They gave us a lot of moments of SmackDown. This one, like you said, this one is a little like overly exposed to Hogan with Edge. I really don't really care. Like, how many times we've seen this already? 1,000.
I mean, there's so, like you said, there's so many better. How come you don't show us the Iron Man match? Yes. How come there's so much better SmackDown moments that they could show us? Even show us some recent ones too, because they always show us. Again, they always hype the days of yesteryear. Oh, look at all this stuff, Edge, Hogan. How about you show some stuff from recently to be like, even though it might not be as good, at least what does Vince always say? Presentation is key. At least present some of your newer product as also being legit. Maybe like AJ Styles or something like that. The house at AJ Styles, something like that. Exactly.
That would be a cool moment. Also, like it's a recent one, but at least it was a cool.
Well, wasn't that wasn't on an episode of SmackDown, was it?
It was.
Oh, was it? Oh, okay.
Yeah, because it was the SmackDown before.
Oh, you know what? I was thinking. did he beat Kevin Owens for the US title at a house show? I think that's maybe what I
Also,
was
yeah,
thinking.
yeah,
Yeah,
but the
in
one
the
he
UK or
retained, though,
something.
he
Yeah.
retained though on SmackDown, and that was like one of Jericho's last appearances on WWE TV because they
Okay,
had
yeah.
him. I guess he was in town, and they said, "Hey, bro, you want to like do this or you want to do AEW?" It's like, "I'm okay, let's do this." And they had a really great triple threat match. Those were the days when SmackDown was live on Tuesdays. So now let's move on. Like you said, Bailey. Bailey, she had a really good promo. I like this, being heel, but like I love how she can just transition so well because she started out all white baby face. Oh yeah, like let's gonna showcase all these women that like made history in SmackDown through all these years. Ivory, Trish Stratus, Beth Phoenix, Lita, Molly Holly, every single Alundra
Yeah,
Blaze. I don't know why Alundra Blaze is there. SmackDown
yeah.
wasn't even on.
Again, I'm like, is this old school Raw? But I liked it. And then every woman, she always, she give them a compliment and be like, yeah, Alundra Blaze was a champion for 3 years, but she's not as good as me. So
I
she
love
was,
that
yeah,
transition. You know
yeah. So
what?
you
I
always
love that.
see it's like, oh, is she being babyface? She's being nice. But then she always chops them up at the end. No, she's still heel. She's still legit. And like you said, she goes through all of them. And, then she goes to, and I didn't
Even
know,
though she went to Bianca Belair.
yeah,
She
I was gonna
went
say, and also I didn't even know that, slipped my mind that, who is it?
Jacqueline.
Yeah, Jacqueline won won the cruiserweight title.
Yes. Yeah, she
Yeah,
did.
so that was
Actually, she
badass.
did it on WWE. She don't on WCW. She did it
Yeah,
on
so
there. Yeah.
yeah, so I mean that was legit. And then like you said, she gets the Bianca. She's like, oh, here's our current champion. She's legit. Except look into those eyes. There's fear. There's insecurity. Pretty much, I'm gonna beat her at Backlash. And then Bianca comes out and steals one of our lines.
Oh yeah, can I live?
Yeah, I'm like, she watched Rope Break. Yeah, can we live? But
Thank you, Bianca.
yeah.
Thank you, girl. Yeah, we
Hey,
appreciate that.
can you and Montez, can you guys subscribe and
Yeah,
share a video or two?
Montez and Bianca.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So she said, "Hey, you know what? I know you showcase all these women, but hey, you know what, girl? You need to focus on me, and you need to focus on you because it's like I'm on my way to dethrone you on being the longest SmackDown champion of all time. So hey, you need to watch out because I'm on my way to there." So they start brawling, which was good. And then this week, we always say upper hand situations here. This week it was Bailey's turn, so she like grab him, she like put it away. She got like one of the earrings, and I like how she stepped on it. It's like I'm better than you and all of that. And then she did the Rose Plan. That's a beautiful move. I love that finisher. Bailey is absolutely great. Finally they're cashing in on her one more time because after the Royal Rumble, after she lost the title to Sasha, she was a little sort of like lost, obscurity.
Oh yeah.
There was nothing to do for her, but I like that like she's coming back with a pretty good program. And I kind of regret that they did that mini feud with Bianca, before, because now it would have been even more meaningful because it would have been the first time that they actually face each other.
Well, yeah, you could have left Bailey off TV. I mean, you could have still put her in the Royal Rumble to be like, oh, Bailey, I know you want to be in the Royal Rumble, whatever. She could still be in it, but then go off TV or have a feud with somebody else. Another person just built up that Bailey just goes over. Okay, no problem. Then you touch on this. Like you said, this should have been after WrestleMania because who would have been the best opponent for Bianca, the new champion, than the longest reigning, SmackDown Women's Champion in Bailey. So, again, it kind of soils it, but it's still, I feel like it's also their second choice because I feel if Sasha was still here and not going into acting or music or whatever she's doing right now, they probably would have did a rematch with Sasha.
Yeah, probably they would have done that, but like you said, like she's the one that said, hey, she knows the booking better than WWE. She's like, hey, I need to be out. I need to be gone. That way, when people, when I come back, people remember who I am and is legit. We can, retake this, reuse it, and make it better. So at least it's like it. But Bailey being in the picture is absolutely great. So I love it. Let's talk about this. This is still really good and really, intense. And I like that. Both of the Usos talking to each other. Like, what happened, bro? We used to be like the best tag team in the world, which they were. 2017, remember the feud with the New Day, Hell in a Cell, all of those things, like the Uso Penitentiary, they were on fire. These two guys could have gone to New Japan, could have gone against Young Bucks on those days. It would have been one of like the greatest tag team matches ever because these guys were absolutely great. So he said, what happened with you? You just help Roman all the time. He's champion because of you. You do the dirty work. What the hell is going on? You know what we will be legit? If you and me, get the tag team championships and then he's still the Universal Champion, then I'm in on this. Then I'm all the way 100% in this situation. So I really like this, but you don't see Jay, completely sold in the idea. He's like, maybe, so I don't know. So what do you think?
Yeah, Roman has him brainwashed. Roman says, "Oh, I made you main event Jey Uso. You were just the Uso, and nobody knew who your name was. They didn't know if you were Jimmy or Jay until
Yeah.
came and decided to acknowledge me as the tribal chief and all this stuff." So you see, he has these conflicting emotions, thoughts going on in his head. But I mean, Jimmy here was so great. He's like, why are you being a little bitch? We used to be somebody, the best team. Like you said. This to me was one of probably, I think, the best promo part of the whole night. This right here, because everything he said was true.
Oh yeah.
And we as the fans were all saying this too. Now, obviously, we know it's all storyline and everything, but it's like, these teams, or this team here was one of the best teams ever, and we were waiting for this. Why don't go back to the legit days of the Uso penitentiary and stuff. So maybe he can convince his brother, because even though they're cousins. Who are you going to stick with more? Your brother.
Brothers,
yeah, your brother. So, I mean, hopefully, we see something like that. But, I like where this is going so far.
It is good. It's good. Like you said, you're making the story even more like personal, like the family between the two of them.
Yeah, and it seems real. Like, it doesn't seem like, oh, you see Sami saying, there's a conspiracy theory against me. It's like, okay, dude, whatever. Like, that's bullshit. But, like, this seems actually real. Like, this is like, I believe this.
They're really, they're moving this forward, like, in a really good way. They're, every single thing is like, they're very detailed when it comes to this story. Like they put all the effort in this story, and everything else maybe not as much.
Well, hey, I'd rather have them put the effort in the main event than some other shows, AEW, where the main event is awful.
Yeah, exactly.
The title picture is awful.
Let's talk about this. It's going to be finally on WrestleMania Backlash. So I think, of course, always one event later, they're going to have a match that is going to be meaningful, and this is going to be the Mysterios against the Dirty Dogs. The Street Profits are not in the main event, so in this thing, I'm good. I'm good. So like Dolph Ziggler was supposed to face Ray initially. It was reported that, but now he starts talking about how like he and Ray had these great matches on SmackDown. And I remember those feuds. That was like 2010 when Dolph first debuted in WWE for the IC belt, all of that. But in the end, he starts facing Dominic. So they had a pretty good match. The kid is good. I think that like he needs a few more years just to like have it like be on its own. But like I feel that like the future is really bright for Dominic. And what did you think? I like the match, and also like the winner has the Mysterios for what is going to be that match next week on Sunday.
Oh yeah, I agree with everything you said. I wish Dominic would have been able to been trained by maybe be a little bit older and have been trained by his dad and been able to wrestle with him when Ray was doing his tour of the Indies. Because I feel like WWE saying, Dominic, go out there and say this, verbatim, word for word. Don't switch it up. Don't try to, shoot your own promo, whatever. And he sounds so scripted and so nervous, like he's trying to constantly remember everything they told him to say, which, on the Indies, whatever, he'd been able to cut his own promos. Ray would be like, mijo, be legit, tell it like it is from the heart, because I think that's what Dominic needs. He needs it like, he's good in the ring, but he needs that fire, that like intensity to be lit up in him, especially in the promos and stuff. But I like this match, and like you said, it hypes it up for Backlash. I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully you pulled the trigger on the Mysterios, because again, if you're really going to cash in on the Samoan family and the Usos, maybe they do join with Roman. What better, team to get, a lot of heat on them, to beat than the Mysterios, because that's the feel good. The father, the son, never happened before. Boom, super kick, Uso splash. Nope, those titles are ours.
One more thing, Paul. What is the common thing that those two teams have? Their family.
Mm-hmm.
So, one family against the other. So that will be great.
Exactly.
Like and our guy, our great friend Steven says, Dominic rolling up Dolph Ziggler for the win put a smile on my face. He's legit. I mean, poor Dolph, but Dolph is fine losing to whoever. He can lose to -1, he can lose to -5, -10.
-1.
Or like a negative, it's the same thing. Yeah, that thing. But like, he can lose to -1, all of that. He's fine as long as he gets a paycheck. He's fine. That's Dolph.
Well, if he would go to AEW, him and his brother would probably be losing to like Brody Lee Jr. and Marco Stunt.
Yeah, well, or there will be a tag, and then he'll go in against the Mysterios. He'll come back and all of that.
I wonder if they would put them in a tag versus the Varsity Blondes. Would that match go on forever? Because both teams only know how to lose.
Yeah, well, there you go. It's on no contest. That's
exactly.
Time limit draw. Jr., because that legit documentary, Dark Side of the Ring, Brian Pillman, 2-hour episode. If you haven't watched it, please do. Mm-hmm. Really great stuff. Are you working or are you shooting? The great line, I'm just still like, I cannot go to sleep, because that line is so good. But anyway, let's move on. Like Mysterios, like you said, hopefully they win those titles. And, like you said, the seed is right there planted. Usos, Mysterios, I'm sold on that. let's talk about this. I'm not sold on this because even Kayla Braxton is as Reginald's height, and Kayla Braxton is, I think, like what, 4'5" or like something like that. So Reginald really, like,
she looks almost like JoJo there with the hair. I had a flashback.
Yeah, JoJo, yeah, like the days of like Bray Wyatt when he actually was somebody, because the thing, lost. They gotta put in the milk cartons like you did AJ Styles and Omos. Like he's saying, Reginald is like, what? I was always good. We're like Tamina. They're talking all about Tamina and all of that stuff. Like how like they're gonna beat her, how they're gonna remain champions, all of that. The same verbatim every single week. At least over here in this show, because like you said, the show is like a little better. They don't feel as annoying as Monday Night Raw, because everything on Monday Night Raw looks or seems so annoying. Like, it's just really, really hard to watch. But this was decent. They have the match, Tamina versus Reginald. Like they want to hide the tag team belts. But like you said, this match is not even as important because it's not going to be contested in WrestleMania Backlash. It's going to be contested next week on SmackDown. So,
I mean, it's the same thing that happened, the SmackDown before WrestleMania. We saw the SmackDown
with titles. The male titles, yes.
Yeah, and, now we're seeing it, the pay-per-view. The women get, screwed. Maybe they said, hey, the men got screwed at WrestleMania. You guys can get screwed at Backlash. But I could really care less about this, especially intergender matches. Usually I don't care about, especially with a joke like Reginald here. I mean, is he really good at, flips and Cirque du Soleil and all that kind of, handstands, all that stuff? Absolutely. Does he deserve to be or need to be in a wrestling ring, in this feud and in this? No, not at all. It's, it's awful. I don't want to see it. I don't care. But I do.
We get a new subscriber. That's how good. That's how happy we get.
Exactly. Yeah. And now it wasn't the greatest promo, but I like the fire. I like the intensity when they showed the promo from Tamina. That's what we need to see. Like she wants to win those titles, and she wants to beat them. And she was calling out Nia Jax. So that was at least decent. But I mean, this match. I mean, come on. If you cared about this, I'm sorry.
Super fly splash, and then of course Shayna interrupted all of that. So,
interferes, and we can't even see her hit the Superfly splash and beat the shit out of Reginald. Like we at least can't be like, oh well, it was a garbage match, but at least she beat up that little asshole.
Like nothing. That's the key word though. Because you saw like the Samoan drop onto like one of like the barricade, like the padding that they have right there. Like what? The champs got the upper hand in this week, so maybe that means that like we're gonna have new SmackDown tag team women's.
I think you gotta. Otherwise, I mean, this is at least one team that they've actually built up, kind of. Not like Lana, Naomi, Mandy Rose, Dana Brooke. They don't really build those teams up. We see them a lot, but they aren't really built up to make it feel special. At least Natalya and Tamina, we see the promos. They've been getting wins, and we go, okay, they start to feel a little special. So if you don't pull the trigger on them, I mean, you're just burying them right with these other teams.
And why did you do all of that? Like you said, why would you do that all and you're not like, cash it in? You're not going to like do it, like go with the idea. So like, I agree with you. So hopefully that's what happens. But remember, Michael called one more time batches because at the beginning, it's going to happen at WrestleMania Backlash. So
I mean, I think it was probably up until today, or maybe while the show was going on, maybe Vince is like, oh, screw this. We can't have that many matches. Okay.
There's not good shit. So no, move it to next week. Do we have something done? No.
Exactly.
We don't know yet. Oh, okay. Well, move it there. So like they did the thing quickly. You can do it when you have Photoshop and all of that. Can be done in minutes. So there you go. And Michael Cole reiterated that. I don't know if you picked up on that, but he's like, remember, it's going to happen next week on Friday Night SmackDown. So, okay. That's fine. Hopefully, like you said, Tamina and Natalya get those wins. They deserve it. They need it. So that's what we got. So tell me a little bit about the tag man tag. We go from like the old school way of like, oh yeah, we book everybody in the show. I like this though. This is when you go like on Halloween. Right there, you have like it's like
I mean, that definitely gave you the old school vibes. All the guys sitting there, the one guy cutting the promo. Whether like you said, the big 10-man tags on SmackDown or the old school Survivor Series promos, whatever. But the match itself, I mean, do I care about Baron Corbin? No, not really. I mean, the Big E and Apollo Crews feud, like we said, those two mix like oil and water. They have zero chemistry. The matches aren't usually very enjoyable, even though they do have the intensity. It's just not very good to look at. Yeah. So we don't care about that. Alpha Academy, okay, I like them, but Street Profits, they're overexposed. Kevin Owens, he's completely lost. That's the one thing with Kevin Owens and Nakamura. This guy should be in the main event. This guy should be,
more lost than Kevin. Yeah. But
Yeah,
completely.
if anything, you want to do something with him. How about, there's no Daniel Bryan to support Cesaro. Make Nakamura support Cesaro. I know
Yeah.
we've seen it, a few times, but you see Seth Rollins. He's the one who's jumping Cesaro. Maybe Nakamura goes after Seth Rollins again.
One
Maybe
more
we
time,
see,
and this
maybe
time
we
he
see
wins.
that. Yeah, we see that kind of feud or something set up. So that
Yeah.
would be, a better use for him instead of getting pinned in this match. At the end of it, he doesn't know Corbin's legal. Corbin comes in, especially Corbin. I'm sorry. I know some people like him, but to me, he is an absolute joke. He's the one who gets the pin. If it was at least, maybe we saw the big Nigerian spike or whatever they call
Aces.
it. Yeah,
Aces.
aces, he hits the big
Baba
thumb
Ganoush.
jab. And then you saw, Apollo Crews pin him. At least, hey, it's the IC champ. They cheated. Okay, at least it doesn't make it so bad.
And
But when
he's
it's
the
Baron,
leader of the group, right?
yeah, exactly. But when it's Baron Corbin, end of days, boom, 1, 2, 3. I'm like, I feel so bad for Nakamura.
To see
That's
the end
yeah.
of days is legit because it's a good move. But even like when they were hyping the match, remember this? He goes, "Oh, you gave me Baron Corbin. He's legit." Blah blah blah. Oh, Alpha Academy, Otis, Chad Gable. They're so great. They can be tag team champions whenever they want. And Sammy, so so that was good. At least, but with the accent, bad. It's just terrible. But like you said, Baron Corbin gets the win, and does it mean anything? No, it's just a classical episode of SmackDown when like this is just
because it wasn't like Corbin pinned him, and then he looks at Apollo and goes, all right, where's my shot? Again, like what did we say all the time? Especially in NXT UK when these people win matches, what do they say? I want to win matches because I want to win the belt. These guys win matches and they go, okay, legit. And they go back.
Home,
They go back.
Car, like, let's go.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, does anybody care about the belts or anything anymore?
No, but like, see, the good thing is, like, for example, like, remember that part. And Paul Heyman goes like, World Roman says, get me one of my cousins. He goes, which one? So that was really good. That was really good. So like you see, like Jay is right there, like, hey, he's not following the direction. He's not on par with us. We need to go find out what's going on because we do it for the family. I do it because I love you. I love him. I love everybody else. So you see, like really cool storytelling here. I really like this. Everything is like, at least like you said, there's a lot of detail. He gives you a lot of info why he does it. I mean, is he brainwashing him? Yes, he is. But like, he gives you the right words. So like, if you have, all of us have families, right? So like, when you hear that from somebody else and they say, hey, I'll do it for our family, some part of you is going to believe it. And then
and we didn't mention it in the last part when Jimmy said to him, he's like, you know what? Roman doesn't need you. He's like, you're being a little slave. You're kissing his ass. You're being his bitch, but he doesn't need you. He doesn't care about you. He's like, go ask him right now if he needs you. No, he doesn't. He doesn't need you. He doesn't care about you. He only cares about himself and the Universal Championship. And then that's when Jay's like, and he goes up there. But like you said, Roman twists it. Like, no, it's Jimmy who's bad. I take care of you and our families. I put the food on the table, all this stuff. So it's good. It's the mind games. And it's really not going to come down to Jimmy being a baby face and helping out. It's going to come down to what Jay does. Does Jay choose to, join his brother or to stay with his cousin?
Yes, exactly. So that was really cool. So like, let's go to the main event. Really, we want to wait the answer. We want to know what's going on. So Roman comes out and he's like, see, you even see like the picture, you see the frown right there in the eyes and everything. Are you in or are you out? So Jimmy comes out.
Yeah, that's what he says. He's like, Jimmy, are you working? Or are you shooting?
Or are you shooting? Yeah, exactly. Are you shooting or you're working, bro? And he's like, no, I'm out. He doesn't want to. He's like, no, I'm not part of this. He's like, they go through like the whole match of Clash of Champions. They remember all of that for what it was. And he said, hey, you remember? He's like, I was the one that threw the towel. It's like, you don't care about my brother. You don't care about me. You only care about yourself. You care about that damn title. He's like, no, I'm not going to be part of this. So you see, like, this is a future like baby face in Jimmy. And maybe he could join like Cesaro, or maybe like you said Naka. Is either Naka or this guy is going to be supporting Cesaro. So
yeah, and here we have Stephen Butler. He said, I see Roman retaining the belt against Cesaro and would like to see a feud against Jimmy Uso with a match between the two by SummerSlam. So there you go. If they want to go the same route as, they did with Jay, they could definitely do that because the story's there. And I feel a lot of people are hooked on the story. Whenever it's family and all that stuff, it feels real. But I don't know if they're going to do that because I don't think they're going to give the title to Jimmy. And it's like you're almost telling the same story twice.
Yes,
because I could see Roman again, the guillotine, maybe because Roman's been doing the concerto now a lot. Maybe he's going to do the concerto to him. Oh, I'm going to bash his brains out. And then you have Jay, no, don't do it. Don't do it. And then he beats up Jay, and you're almost telling the same story, but you're flipping the brothers.
Yeah.
So I don't really know what they're going to do. I would almost like to just see, Jay say, screw you, go join his brother. They do the tag thing. Roman's left alone. He only has Paul Heyman. Oh, my empire's crumbling around me. I lost, my right hand. I lost my belt. I lost all this stuff. And maybe that's when Rollins tries to weasel his way back in. Oh, let me help you. And then we'll get the belt back, with his black gloves and all that stuff. So I don't really know, but see, that's the great thing about this main event.
Exactly.
Whenever we say,
yeah,
I was going to say, whenever we watch a program and we're like, oh, this is predictable, this team's going to win, do we care? No, but this main event is so wide open. There's so much stuff they can do. Is it going to just be Cesaro? Is it going to be Jimmy? We don't know what's going on. Rollins is also a part of this. Where does he fit in? We don't know. And when a match, a feud, a program really gets us to think like that, that's when it's good wrestling. That's when it's good TV.
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you what I think, but Cesaro came out, so he cleaned house. He could legit clean house. He took care of all three men. He took care of Roman, uppercuts. I love the uppercuts because they really look really stiff. And I like that. Just don't do forearms like Dragunov because then, what happened to Mastiff? But in the end, an awful neutralizer twice.
He hit. Yeah, I don't know if, maybe he just didn't get him right. But Cesaro's strong enough. He should have been able to lift them up. I'm like, did these guys just sandbag him? Did they didn't help, lift themselves up or anything?
Them, maybe because how quick the sequence was, but really bad on both times. We did the one on Roman and we did the one on
the one on Jay was really, really bad. It almost looked like a Michinoku driver or something he was doing there, but
Michael Cole would have sell Blue Thunder bomb.
Exactly. But then when he picked up Roman, I'm like, okay, it looks like he's getting him up a little bit, but he just kind of held him and then just fell, and I'm like. The whole time, the whole time I'm thinking, I hope he's not hurt. I hope he didn't tweak his shoulder and is like, oh fuck, I can barely lift it or anything. And here we have Stephen Butler, Jean Paul, great Seth Rollins impersonation. Thank you. I tried. No, I can't do it again. Then it won't be as good. It's got to be. Don't put me on the spot. Don't put me on the spot.
But the spot. But in the end, he, thank you, Stephen, man, one more time, and right there.
But then we also another thing to make note of, a key, note here is that Jimmy then, because at first when Cesaro was beating up Roman, Jimmy said to Jay, no, let it go. Let him fight his own battles, whatever. You saw Jay was hesitant. That's when he ran in, got beat up. And then eventually Jimmy was like, no, I'm not going to help him. But then when he saw his brother getting his ass kicked, he went in there. Of course, he ate a big uppercut and everything. So Jimmy was taken out as well. But you did see it. The last thing he did was he did go to help his brother. So, he helped his brother. He didn't go when it was Roman. He went to help his brother. So that's a key, thing to, keep in mind there.
To me, what they're going to do, Paul, is I don't know if there's enough time. But let's talk about the end. You see the guy standing tall, good, good visual also. To me, like I said, a good show for SmackDown, throwback SmackDown. But for me, they're gonna if they will have more time, you can actually build sympathy between Cesaro and Jimmy. Be like, hey, bro, I'm with you on this idea. We got to throw Roman, all of that, and then in the match, you flip the switch, and then he joins. And then, and
they're all like, in your face.
Yeah. And then, in your face, we did it, in your face. You do that. But then, you get the titles on them. And then you have the big group, Undisputed Era, all the stuff that we've been saying. When you have all the gold is legit. And then Cesaro gets, more.
What is it? Is it something like?
Yeah. Like
Undisputed Era something. Yeah, there it is.
So you do that. But I don't think there's enough time. Because you only have one more show, and then there's not enough time to build that kind of sympathy. Or say, hey, bro, we're on the same page. Don't beat me. Don't do those uppercuts. I don't want to be Mastiff. But if they're going to still push Cesaro. If Cesaro is your main event at SummerSlam. But Steven already gave it the idea, though. You could actually be Cesaro, dude. You're not main event. McMahon's like, no, he's not.
But let's say, fantasy book here before we close the show. Let's say Cesaro Backlash loses, and it's like, okay, you put him on the back burner with Kevin Owens. Exactly. Yeah. And then, you do Jey Uso. You're not going to put the title, Jimmy Uso, excuse me. You're not going to put the title on Jimmy. I'm sorry, you didn't do it with Jay. You're not going to do it with Jimmy. Nothing against those guys, but you're just not going to do it. Who else do you have?
Yeah.
There is literally no other baby face on this show. Ray and Dominic are tag. You're not building any of them up. Kevin Owens is ice cold. He has no momentum. Rollins is heel. I don't see them doing it to Rollins. I would say if you turned him babyface, but that would take a long time, especially with, how he is now. He's clearly in, the heat of his heel run. So I think it has to be Cesaro.
Yeah, it has to be.
Unless, the only wild card is a returning Edge.
Returning Edge, and also like if he resigns, a returning Daniel Bryan, but it wouldn't make sense, Daniel, because
Daniel Bryan, if he resigns with WWE, he'll be on Raw or NXT or something like that. Yeah, they're going to keep that storyline. So the only, to me, wild card is Edge.
Yes.
Maybe Edge will come back at Backlash. Maybe he sets up for it. Edge comes in and takes Cesaro out, and then I don't know. There's a lot really going on here, and again, that's why I said this makes this feud so good.
Interesting. Yes, exactly. It makes it really, really interesting. The addition of Jimmy was like a good one, especially in the way that it was portrayed. So that's what we have for you, family. This was a pretty good show. SmackDown gave us a lot of stuff. And actually, are we hooked for next week?
Mm-hmm.
And that's how WWE. Please do that for Monday Night Raw. Please do that, because again,
you know what helps? Shaving off that last hour from 10 to 11.
Oh yeah,
that also helps.
Or at least give good content, because like you said, if it's good, I can watch 9 hours of it. But when it sucks, I don't need to watch a minute of it. So let's see what Steven says. And it will make sense for Edge to feud with Roman because of the ending to WrestleMania. There you go. Like you said, Edge will be involved, and that will be a good way to do it. But we'll see, I don't know. They mentioned the tag team titles. Maybe that could be an idea. I don't know. But like I said, Jimmy winning the belt, it will be stretching it. But, it's like you said, it's not unpredictable. So it is unpredictable. So that's really good for the show. So family, one more time, thank you, Steven, to every single one of you that watched.
Steven, legit.
Yeah, thank you so very much. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell for notification. Also, give the video a like so it keeps growing, in the rankings, keeps beating everybody else up. We say how it is. We're not sugarcoating anything. Go watch the AEW review. We don't trash anybody. We just say, hey, you know what? This is what happened. It wasn't good. That's all we say. You know what? That's what we do. So where else can they find us, Paul?
And make sure you follow us, Rope Break, on Facebook, the OG Rope Break on Twitter, Original Rope Break on Instagram, and of course, right here on YouTube, the home of the #1 podcast in the YouTube wrestling community, the Original Rope Break.
The only thing left to say, family, besides the usual closing, is just have a great weekend. Enjoy yourselves. The next weekend will be really busy. Under Siege, Impact on Saturday, and then Sunday, WrestleMania Backlash. So take care, all of you. You and me have one more thing that is left to say, and that is...